Hello, welcome to J Lowe Artist YouTube channel. Today we'll be doing some drawing with graphite. So get out your pencils, your cotton swab, kneaded eraser, anything that you think you need to draw with. Have it right handy. And let's draw together. Remember, art makes life better. First thing we're going to do as we start going along here is we're going to draw with our number 2 pencil. The number of pencil, the higher the H scale, the harder the lead is. So you get less lead to rub off on the paper. The softer it is in the B scale, the more the lead rubs off on the paper and you get it darker. So between the two, you're going to get some fairly light lines and some very dark lines. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is establish where this thing goes. I want a little bit more room on the front than on the back of the dolphin. So somewhere up in here, I'm just going to say, well, I want his head to be about right in there. I'm just going to make a little mark about an inch of the way from the edge of the paper. So you just want to make a little mark there. That's where his head goes. And his tail is going to go all the way on the other side, somewhere down in here. You can even, if you wanted to, put a little triangle shape. I want his tail to touch or come close to touch that other edge. So then, simple shapes. What's the simple shape you see? Yeah, it's this kind of like a curved teardrop shape. So you just kind of go ahead and throw in that curved teardrop shape. And because you're using the side of your pencil, everything you draw in here is easily erasable. And so with the side of your pencil, just keep going over that. Don't do an edge. One thing we're going to concentrate on today is no hard lines. The edges will take care of themselves. His little nose is just this little oval that comes off of it. I can go in there like that and just put in this little oval. And I might be a little big or a little small, but because I'm using the side of my pencil, it's easy to get rid of. So now what I want to do with the side of my pencil is look at any of those dark edges. Like right down here on the front of his head there. It's kind of dark. Don't worry about the eye or where the eye goes. Just worry about those little dark shapes. And notice how far back I'm holding my pencil. If I hold my pencil up here, I'm drawing too heavy. So I'm going to hold it way back here, very light. Any of the dark edges, even like where that fin goes, instead of trying to draw a line around it, just find that dark edge. And notice how the tip of the fin lines up with the back fin. Look how that's almost one big S curve right there. And then you take your kneaded eraser and you can get rid of stuff. Easily get rid of stuff. There's no line left behind. You just keep going until your edges look good. Here's that other fin. Instead of drawing a line around it and shading it in, I'm just going to shade in this shape. I know this is different than you've been taught before. And then I'm just going to take my kneaded eraser and hit that edge, smooth it out. I can make it smaller. And if I make it too small, I can go back in with my pencil and add some more. Even the tail part, just do those little triangles. Here's a dark triangle over here. A dark triangle over here. It has a little curve to it. And if it's too big, use your kneaded eraser and pull some out. If it's not big enough, keep going. This is such a simple way of drawing. And hopefully, once you kind of get this idea, first of all, you're going to be drawing better. And secondly, you're going to be drawing faster. Now, this number 2 pencil, because we're using the side of our pencil, is very light. There's no dark edges. If we wanted to, at this point, we can say, well, gee, I want some water in there too. Look where the horizon line, it kind of comes through his tail right there. That's a great place for it. And then there's some light. People always say, how do you draw water? Well, anytime water is agitated, it becomes white. It picks up all the light. And so the idea is that you don't draw it. You leave it out. So if you want this a little bit of water, draw the in-between stuff and leave the white part out. And we're going to use our eraser to get rid of a lot of that stuff. The other thing is people like to, when they say, you know, how do we draw waves? Waves are just darks and lights. So if you just draw little triangular shapes like this, there's your waves. And they're smaller in the back and get bigger as they come forward. So we're just drawing little flattened triangles here for the water. And as you get towards the back, they're small, tiny. As you get towards the front, they get a little bit bigger. Now we want to get all those medium toned grays. There are some white areas. You want to leave those out as much as possible. So right on his back, there's a little highlight, a little shine right there. There's a little shine across his fin over here, and all this water that's coming out here. You want to leave that white. If you accidentally get some smearing into it, take your kneaded eraser and you can go back into it and pull some of that out. And at this time, all that can be easily erased. You can take your kneaded eraser and erase this entire surface and you'll never see it. So now what you want to do is take that cotton swab that you've got there and start blending it, smoothing it out. Once you've got your shape about the way you want it, doesn't have to be perfect. Once you got it about the way you want it, just start blending that around. You just start smoothing it out. And it's just going to go kind of a light gray, almost kind of a ghosty gray. Nothing here is really dark. We haven't used our dark pencil yet. Once we do, that will give us the contrast we need, make this punch, make it pop. Right now, I'm just getting all those nice grays where they go. It just smears it around. Yeah, it's just going to make it really light and smeary, soft. That's another thing this cotton swab does, is softens things up. You can smear it around. You can go in circles. You can go back and forth. There's lots of different ways to do this. After I'm done with my cotton swab here, I'm just going to go back in and hit the edges, make them nice and smooth with my kneaded eraser. I also want to pull out any lights that are in there. But I can take some of these really light grays and use my cotton swab to get those light grays. It used to take me forever with a pencil, very light pencil. And I don't do that anymore. It's too slow. This is so much faster. And everything here can easily be erased. So if you think, oh, that's too big or too small, or I've made a mistake, easily erasable. This also softens it up. If you're going to do, like later on this term, we're going to draw people, and this is a great way to get flesh tones. You can go into the water too and do the same thing with the water if you'd like to. So I'm just going to go back over the water, but instead of going in circles, I'm going to go back and forth, linear. Everything that happens in water is very horizontal. And so as I stroke this with my cotton swab, I'm going to try to stay horizontal. That makes the water look, I mean, if you go the other way, then it looks like water splashing or it's pouring into it. You want to keep it level. So you go back and forth. Once you load that cotton swab with graphite, you'll draw with it. So like I say, keep those cotton swabs. If you've got a little Altoids box or something, you can put those in there, and then it's already got graphite on it, so you can draw with it immediately. And sometimes you need new ones too. So last but not least, I'm going to go over everything. Like this tail is a little wide. I'm going to make that a little smaller, a little thinner. everything here can still be erased. This is the cool part of this, you know. It's so often people are afraid to put lines in there because you can't erase them. Or when you do, you've always got that ghost line left behind. This way, it's not there. This is a very low stress way of drawing. So just clean up all your edges. Once you've cleaned it all up and it's looking pretty good, then we're going to switch over to that 6B pencil, that very dark pencil. I'm going to zoom into this so you can see what I'm doing. Still fuzzy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 6B pencil, and this has all kind of been smeared, so it's not going to smear too easily. But I'm just going to go in and pick up the darkest areas. There's a dark area right across his nose, right here. I'm just picking up those dark areas, zigzag through them. This is going to make that pop. I'm just going to pick up some of those dark areas. There's a dark area that kind of comes up over here and then picks up next to the eye. The eye is right. If you go straight up from the nose, about right in there. And I'm still using the side of my pencil. Anytime I want it to feel soft, use the side of your pencil. But notice too that I'm holding it much closer to the tip. If I want it to really go dark, I'm going to hold it clear up in here. So I don't want it too dark right now. But any place that you feel like there's some darkness, go ahead and put that in there. This is also going to have soft edges. Don't want a hard edge yet. If you do, that's kind of the last thing to do. Most people do that right from the start, and then they're disappointed. So it's this darkness that's going to make that pop, make it really come out. Here's his mouth. It's just kind of a little zigzaggy line that kind of comes down in there. And the key here is that we're going to go over and over and over this, layering in our graphite, little at a time, until it's finally what we want it to be. Then it'll be perfect, or as perfect as we want it to be. And the more you layer in, the more your cotton swab is going to get loaded with graphite. So you can go back into it anytime you want and just keep smoothing that around. Notice how I can take whatever that dark is and move it into some of the other areas, so I get a good variation between the dark and the light. Once I get that graphite on there, I can take my cotton swab and move that up and make lovely little tones using just the cotton swab. You see what's going on with that? Isn't that nice? And it's just so easy to do. I think so often we look at art and we think, oh, that's so hard to do because we don't understand it. I think once somebody teaches you how to do it, it's just much easier. And that 6B is much softer, and so your graphite's going to smear easier. There's a lot of reflected light up underneath them too. So leave that underside a little lighter. Yeah, something like that. Alrighty. So when you're all done, you've got a nice little picture. You can leave that water kind of light in the background too, however you want to do it. Clean it up with your kneaded eraser, and you're done. You got a cute little drawing. Good place for signatures right there. Hope you had a lovely day, and I thank you for drawing with me. And hopefully art makes your life better.